Ahmad, welcome to the Bitcoin Source. Thank you for taking time out to have this conversation. Can we start things off by you introducing yourself to the world and to the audience?
Hi, Daudo. Thank you for having me on your show. Excited for this. My name is Ahmad Ammous. I'm an internal medicine physician. I like to think outside the box. Bitcoin has really given me the incentive to do so, and I like to do that with medicine as well. I don't like to take what I've been taught for granted.
Most definitely. And I'm really happy to dig into this Bitcoin conversation today. And the first thing I usually ask people when they come on the show is, what inspired them, whether it be books, courses, or even people in the ecosystem that really allowed you to become a better Bitcoiner?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is not very difficult for me. It was my brother, Saifedean. So my brother, Saifedean, is the author of the Bitcoin standard and recently the fiat standard. His book basically started off with discussions between me and him on our balcony in Lebanon, and he was just telling me all these amazing things he knew about Bitcoin. And I always told him, "Man, you need to write this stuff down." And that's how the Bitcoin standard started. And I learned a lot about Bitcoin through him, and my understanding of Bitcoin and thinking outside the box led me to also consider these things about the principles I'm using in medicine. And
Yeah, most definitely. And, speaking of medicine and you being a doctor, I really wanted to dig into some of the complex topics that people face with their health insurance, the whole gamut. And one of the first questions I had for you, Ahmad, is, health insurance is broken in so many ways, and the insurance companies make hundreds of billions of dollars off of, sick people being reliant on insurance. So how has fiat money corrupted the health industry, and where does the Bitcoin standard fit into changing that?
So medicine is so expensive is because we are only doing the things that are benefiting a third party. Okay. So it's no longer just a relationship where I want to get my patient happy, so the doctor gets paid. There's always a third party involved, and the third party is either a pharmaceutical company, it's either a hospital doing procedures, it's either someone selling medical equipment. And because of that, there's always a tendency to do the more expensive thing rather than the thing that's most helpful to the patient. Okay, a free market, if the patient is deciding what sort of treatment is ideal, they would put their money towards what's making them better. And in the long run, that's lifestyle changes, that's dietary changes, all these things. However, the influence of the pharmaceutical companies and other health companies is that they want the procedures that are more expensive to them. Okay. And the reason why they exist only in a fiat system is because these pharmaceutical companies, they're not in a free market. Okay, a free market would allow any type of medicine to be practiced and let the patient themselves decide. But unfortunately, the pharmaceutical-backed medicine is backed by a government that is backed by a fiat currency. And that's the only way they have a monopoly over the system currently.
Yes, most definitely. And I think that some of the things that you mentioned are super important for people to be aware of, which is fiat money and fiat food. And, do you believe cheap processed food, which is being pushed by fiat money, is what is causing most of the health concerns in America? And why do doctors not tell people about the dangers of a bad diet?
That's a very excellent question. And I started down this journey because I made some dietary changes in myself, and I noticed that I had such amazing improvement in my life in general. Even I thought of myself as healthy before, but after it, I realized what it truly means to be healthy. And I thought, oh, I wonder if this worked for me, how much would it work for my patients who are struggling with all these chronic diseases? And that's what got me reading about things, and I discovered that there actually are doctors out there that are doing this. Okay. They're outside the mainstream, and the reason why is because the system doesn't incentivize you financially to do that. Okay, and because the system wants to sell expensive pharmaceuticals that can be patented, and so doctors it's not rewarding for them to do that. Only the doctors that have broken out of the system and are getting paid just from their patients' well-being, those are the ones that are doing that.
You know, I follow you on Twitter, I follow you on social media, and you have such insightful tweets, medical, reference tweets. And I remember you tweeting about in the future in the society, there's going to be two types of doctors. And, why will doctors that accept Bitcoin or the Bitcoin standard be more effective to helping patients in the future?
A big part of the reason is Bitcoiners in general, the people that are going to be paying you in Bitcoin, are the ones who have basically swallowed the orange pill, and they've seen that the current system is broken and that there's an alternative that is out there and is better. So you're going to attract the sort of people that are thinking outside the box and are not taking for granted everything that's taught to them. So that's one. Two is when people are paying you with the real money rather than fiat-backed money, they're going to be more cautious about where they spend this money. Okay, so currently there's a lot of money being wasted in our current medical system because it's being paid on unnecessary tests and unnecessary procedures. And it's all coming from insurance companies that are benefiting from inflation and people that are having, not centrally backed fiat to pay for these needs. And that is all going to be gone once we're on a Bitcoin standard.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that, certain religions, certain, regions and cultures around the world, they really adhere to fasting. And there's a book out there called The Fasting Cure. And people don't realize that just abstaining from food and kind of letting your body reset and naturally heal itself is an important component of having better health. And I think that all of these companies are selling sick care and not health care. And I'm just grateful to have a doctor such as yourself on to really talk about the benefits of kind of taking care of your body, being aware of your diet, and having an understanding of how detrimental fiat money can be to not only your health, but just the financial ecosystem as a whole.
100%. So animals in the wild, usually when they get sick, animals don't really have doctors. What they do is they would go to somewhere in the jungle and just hide for a little bit, and their bodies heal themselves. Because the body is amazing in its ability to do that. We as humans now, we've deviated, our lifestyles have deviated from nature so much that it's a little bit more difficult for us. But in most cases, your body is able to heal itself. Fasting is an important part of that because a lot of the energy that goes into digestion, when you stop the digestion process for a while, it goes into tissue repair elsewhere. And that helps regenerate, helps recover from illnesses, all these things. So there's a lot of work out there about the benefits of fasting, and it's definitely something people who want to get healthier should incorporate into their lifestyle.
Insightful. And last question, Ahmad. So what advice would you have for Bitcoiners that are looking to change their diet, get in better health, or even might be looking for a doctor that, is on the Bitcoin standard? Is there any routes or avenues that you think might be helpful to tell the audience?
We're still working on it. We're still trying to grow. There's a lot of, I think the most important, the biggest problem with our modern diets is our high dependence on carbohydrates. So following people that talk about low carbohydrate diets is a good start. Being out in nature as much as possible, moving as much as possible, that always helps. And start with just following. If you're on Twitter, start with following someone who's your tweets you enjoy, and they're gonna from their tweets you can sort of get more into the circles of people that talk about these health issues, and it's very insightful. I've read a lot of health books that can basically be summarized by a few tweets and are summarized on Twitter every day. So
it's really crazy to see like how people are really just, especially after the pandemic, after COVID, there's just been people really just, trying to get back up and keep up. And they're going out to restaurants and they're just spending money and they're not really paying attention to the impact that's going to have on our economy and on our bodies down the road.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful and happy that you were able to kind of elucidate and break down some of the bad habits that we have. And, you know, there's Bitcoiners out there that adhere to like a carnivore only diet. There's Bitcoiners out there that have a wide array of ways that they go about their health. And I just think that if we want to have low time preference, if we want to, you know, be healthy and live long enough to see this thing really get into hyper Bitcoinization, people such as yourself are going to be helpful in that effort. So thank you, Ahmad, for this conversation. Lastly, can you give people your social media handles or any future endeavors that you might have that you want people to know about?
I'm mostly active on Twitter. It's Ammous MD, and I'm not as active as I used to be. I need to get back to it, but I like to post things that are just hopeful for the future of how healthcare is going to be revolutionized, hopefully, by the Bitcoin standard.
Yes, most definitely. Once again, Ahmad, thank you for taking time to be on the Bitcoin Source. This was a great Bitcoin conversation. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Daudu. Have a great day.